Hi ladies and gentlemen, fellow traders, welcome to another episode of Weekly Forex Outlook with Chart Engineering Pro. We really appreciate you for taking the time to watch this video, and we don't take you for granted at all. If you haven't yet subscribed or you are new to this channel, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any content we post here. And if you also find value with what we share here, be sure to like, drop your comments, share your views, and share this video to your fellow traders or anyone who would find this information useful. So without wasting much time, let's have a quick recap of last week's setups discussed in our previous video, and then before we dive into next week's analysis. We have here NZDUSD. We had this trade running for I think 2 weeks now, and price is almost at our TP, few pips away from our TP, so we are still holding on to this trade. And we also have here German 30. As explained last week, as we discussed last week, I anticipated that price was going to pull back into this area to give us a confirmation, and price pulled back into this area and gave us a 4-hour bearish engulfing candle and give us the opportunity to take another sell position to the one that was already running, and both trades have finally hit TP. We have here EURGBP, which happened to be one of my favorites for last week, and it actually messed us up. We took the entry at the neckline of the double top that was formed over here, and price just took out the SL and moved back into profit. So we took a loss on EURGBP last week. We also have here EURCAD, and EURCAD too, we're expecting a selling opportunity, and we actually hit our SL. So when price pulled back into the area of interest, it gave us this double top, which we took as our confirmation for the sell, and we're expecting price to sell from the neckline, but price actually did its own thing and took us out of the trade. So we missed out, or we took a loss also on EURCAD for last week. We have here AUDUSD. This setup was full of missed opportunities. So after price broke this low, it's formed a daily double top. So we anticipated that price was going to pull back into this area of interest and give us some confirmations to the downside. Price pulled back, but we didn't get a clear confirmation to join this sell, and price just tanked like that. We're also looking out for a possible pullback into this area of interest here. Price pulled back, gave us a rejection candle, and the 4-hour candle that came was very strong, and we couldn't get the opportunity to join. So we actually missed out on 2 opportunities on AUDUSD from last week. So going into next week, we'll rather sit back and watch the market develop some more for us to look for further opportunities to take the price to the second TP below. So we are not going to consider this setup for this week. We'll rather look at it for next week. We also have our EURUSD positions here. Price give us this aggressive pullback, and we are still in the trade. We are currently on break even. So looking at how aggressive price has approached the area of interest, we might likely be taken out of these positions, and then we would rather look out for new selling opportunities to take you to the downside. So we'll look at that setup going forward in this video. So let's see what we have for the economic calendar for the coming week. Looking at the schedules for the week, we might have a very slow week or a very low volatility week from let's say Monday to Wednesday, and maybe market to pick up again from Thursday. So on Monday we don't have any high impact news. On Tuesday there's claimant count change, and on the same Tuesday there are bank holidays so there's a French bank holiday, there's a Canadian bank holiday, there's a US bank holiday on Tuesday, and on Wednesday there's no high impact news. Thursday we have the AUD employment change or unemployment rate, more like the NFP for AUD, and then we have the GDP for GBP. Due to the US government's what do you call it, government shutdown. The CPI news for USD and then the PPI news for the USD is still tentative, and we might not have it, or it might be rescheduled, or anything can happen for Thursday and Friday. So we only have the high impact news on Thursday for the coming weeks. We might have a very slow week. We might, but anything can happen actually. So let's be on the lookout for the coming week. So let's jump into the charts and see what we have for the coming week. So we have here DXY. So DXY, we are going to maintain our position on the previous setup we had from last week, and price is now actually pulling back to our area of interest to give us some opportunity. So we'll be sitting back, and we're going to sit back and wait for price to give us some reversals or some confirmations within this very first zone or the second zone. So we are still very bullish on DXY. This can only be considered bearish if price violates this zone and give us a pullback and then takes us to the downside. Until then, we are very bullish on DXY. So we have here EURUSD. We had the same setup from last week where we were anticipating that price was going to pull back into this very first area of interest and give us selling opportunities to the downside. So currently price has made its way to our very first area of interest, and we are going to wait and see how it's going to develop for us to get selling confirmations. Should this zone be violated and it gets to the second zone, we'll still be interested in looking for selling opportunities in the second zone and take it to the downside. So we are still very bearish on EURUSD. This can only shift bullish if price clears the structural highs, daily structural highs here, and takes us to the upside. So we'll be looking out for reversal patterns within this zone or selling confirmations. Then we take ourselves to the downside for EURUSD. We also have here GBPUSD, the same setup from last week. We were anticipating that price was going to pull back into this very first area of interest or the second area of interest to give us selling opportunities to the downside, and price is now making its way there. So for the coming week, we'll wait patiently to see how price is going to react from this very first zone or this second zone above. Then we'll take our selling opportunities from there to the downside. This can only be violated if price clears this structural high, daily structural highs here, and breaks above the zone and comes for a retest. So until then, we are very, very bearish on GBPUSD. We have here USDCHF from last week, and price has actually completed this very first Gatling pattern, and we might likely see some sells down into this very zone where we're looking out for a pullback to continue the buys to the upside. So if we are fortunate to get this pullback into this zone and get buying confirmations here, we'll be very glad to take, we'll be very glad to take this buys from here to the upside for USDCHF. This can only be violated if this zone gets broken and price comes for retest and gives us a downside movement. So we are also very bullish on USDCHF for the coming week. We have here AUDUSD. We're also anticipating a possible lower high somewhere here last week, and the price actually kept dipping. So for the coming week, we'll be looking out for lower high formation, a possible pullback into any of these areas, and look for selling confirmations around here and take ourselves to the downside, with this being our first TP, this being our second TP. So we are also very bearish on AUDUSD. This can only be violated if this structural high, this daily structural high gets cleared, or this zone gets cleared and we break above and come for a retest to the upside. We have here GBPJPY. So GJ, for the coming week, we'll be looking out for a daily structural shift here. If we are fortunate to get this daily structural shift here and get a possible right shoulder or higher low, we'll be looking out for buying opportunities and take it to the upside, targeting this first TP or this second TP above. Alternatively, if price also gives us something like a double bottom formation, or price pulls back into this zone, gives us any reversal confirmations anywhere here, we'll still be interested in taking the buys to the upside. So let's be on the lookout for these confirmations before we take any further action on GBPJPY. This can be violated if price breaks the zone below and gives us a retest and takes us to the downside. Until then, we'll be looking out for the bullish side for GBPJPY. We also have here CADJPY, and as we can see, CADJPY has reacted from a very strong area of interest. I think it's a monthly area of interest, so it's a very strong area of interest. So going forward, we're looking out for this structural shift, this daily structural shift here. So should price break, we have a daily candle break above, or we have a 4-hour candle break above, and we get a possible right shoulder or a higher low formation here, we'll wait for the completion, or we'll look for confirmation somewhere here for the buys. Then we take our buys from here, our first position from here, or wait for this to break, give us a retest to the neckline and continue to the upside. So this is also giving us a possible harmonic pattern formation, so we have to wait for it to develop more for us to get clarity on which particular pattern is developing. So for the coming week, we are very bullish on CADJPY, and this can only shift bearish if price violates this zone and then breaks to the downside. Until then, we are very bullish on CADJPY. We also have here NZDJPY. For NZDJPY, we have this butterfly pattern formation developing here, and our C leg is already completed. So we're going to wait for a daily structural shift on this at this daily structural point. So should we get something like an inverted and shoulder formation here, we'll be very much interested in taking the buys to complete this. So if we get price to break this 4-hour or daily structural high here, and we get a higher low formation or a possible right shoulder, we'll look for it to buys to the upside to complete this butterfly pattern on NZDJPY. So you just have to be patient to wait for price to develop more for us to take our decision from there. So we have here EURCAD. This setup actually violated us last week, and as we can see on the monthly perspective, EURCAD is bullish. On the daily perspective, EURCAD is bullish. For our perspective, EURCAD is bullish. It's only on the weekly perspective that EURCAD is bearish. So looking at these alignments on the time frames, we rather be interested in the bull side or the bullish side for now. So now that price has retraced back into our area of interest, we'll be looking for buying confirmations within this zone to take this straight to the upside. This is looking like a very possible inverted and shoulder formation. So this is going to be our left shoulder. This is the head, and the possible right shoulder developing here, and we take the buys to the upside. So let's look out for this trade. It's already at the area of interest, so it might play out maybe Monday or Tuesday. So let's be on the lookout for this buy setup. This can only be violated if price breaks below this zone or clears these lows here, comes for a pullback, and then takes us to the downside. Until then, we are going to look out for the bullish side for EURCAD. Another thing I was seeing here was we're looking at this possible head and shoulder formation. So what this could possibly do is that we could now be seeing our right shoulder formation. So this was the left shoulder, the head. So this could be the possible right shoulder that is now developing for us to look for sales to the downside. So it's going to be more like a buy to sell setup, and that can be confirmed. The sell side can be confirmed if we're able to get any strong reversals from any of these zones. Then we take ourselves to the downside, which is going to confirm our head and shoulder formation that we're looking out for here. But until then, we're going to look out for the buys before the sells. We also have here GBPCAD, and GBPCAD has shifted bullish on a daily perspective and in the 4-hour perspective. So for the coming week, we're just going to look out for this pullback. The price is almost there, it's already there, or we're just going to wait for it to pull back a little bit deeper into this zone and give us buying confirmations, and we take our buys to the upside. So we are going to be very bullish on GBPCAD for the coming week. So let's look out for these buys, and this can only change or shift or be violated if price breaks in these two lows and counts for a pullback and then takes us to the downside. And today we are going to be very bullish on GBPCAD for the coming week. We also have here GBPAUD, which is also like a buy to sell setup. So we are going to wait for this pullback into the zone for price to give us some buying confirmations, and we'll take our buys to the zone above. And should price reach this zone above, we're also going to look out for reversal patterns or reversal confirmations within this first zone and take us to the downside here. And if price breaks above and makes its way to the second zone too, we'll still be interested in looking out for the sells from that second zone as well to the downside. So we are going to be bullish first on GBPAUD before we look out for the sells to the downside. We have here EURCHF. EURCHF is currently bearish on a weekly perspective, and it has made its way to a strong area of interest. So we can see these daily rejections in this area of interest. So what we're going to do is to wait for confirmations or wait for strong reversal pattern formations or any strong bearish confirmations from this zone. Then we'll take ourselves to the downside from here. So these are going to be our various targets if we get a selling opportunity at this very first zone we have at the top. So let's look out for it. Let's look out for the sales on EURCHF. So let's allow price to develop more, then we can take our decision. We have here Brent crude oil. So last week we were anticipating the price was going to pull back. It was going to give us a bat formation here, but looking at the developments now, price is likely going to form a possible cipher or shark pattern on the 1 hour time frame. The overall view for UKOIL or USOIL is that we are expecting this very big sell from this zone down to this TP. So before that happens, we'll be looking out for this potential harmonic pattern, which is a reversal pattern into the zone. Then we get our selling confirmations to the downside. So we're going to look out for the buys first before we take our sells to the downside. And as we can see, the possible C leg formation is already happening, and we're expecting a structural shift, a 4 hour structural shift here. But if we drop down to the 3 hour time frame, we realize that price has already shifted bullish on the 3 hour time frame. So this trade might likely play out on Monday. It looks like it's even ready. So what we can do is if we enter Monday, let's see if we have any confirmations here. So we'll wait for a slight pullback into this zone, somewhere slight pullback, then we take our buy. So this could give us a possible inverse head and shoulder formation or a right shoulder formation. So what you can do is you can take your first entry at the right shoulder, or you wait for price to break the neckline to give you a clarity on the pattern that is forming. Then we look for a pullback to the neckline and take your entry from there to complete these harmonic patterns we have here. So if you can't wait and you want to take this trade right away, what you can do is you have to be very conservative. So you can take your position and then put your SL below the head here, and then take the targets above. So it's 2.3 risk to reward, and it's worth taking. So let's be on the lookout for this buy first on Brent crude oil and US oil before we look out for the big sell we have been anticipating for weeks now. This is also the WTI crude oil. That's a US oil, which has a similar or almost the same setup as the Brent crude oil. So same thing, we're also going to look out for this buying opportunity. So we are currently at the possible right shoulder. So what we can do is we can just take this position here and then put your SL below the head, the possible head, and target this place for US oil before we look out for the big sells to the downside, which is going to happen from this zone all the way to the downside. So let's be on the lookout for these trades. We have here silver. So silver is currently bullish on a weekly perspective, bullish on a daily perspective, and I think also bullish on a 4-hour perspective. So going into next week, what we'll be looking out for is a daily candle break above this zone. Price comes for a retest, and we look out for buying opportunities to the upside to target this first target as our first target, or this as our second target. So let's be on the lookout for this position on silver for the coming week. This can be violated, or this can shift bearish if price violates this zone and clears these lows and decides to go or to dip to the downside. But until then, we are going to look out for the bullish side for silver. We have here US 30. So last week we were anticipating that price was going to pull back into our area of interest, and before it gets there, price should pull back, break the neckline of this head and shoulder, come for a retest and take us to the downside. Price actually played out exactly so, but we couldn't catch this trade because of a lack of proper confirmation when price retested the zone. It was a very perfect trade into our major weekly area of interest. So now that we have this reaction in our area of interest where we're anticipating our buys, we'll wait for some developments from this zone, whether we're going to get an inverse head and shoulder formation, a double bottom, or any confirmations we can get within this zone to take us to the upside. We'll be very much interested. So these are going to be our various TPs on the upside should price give us the confirmations on US 30. We have here S&P 500, and we had this setup. This was a similar setup on US 30, and price has also given us a very strong bullish engulfing reaction from our area of interest. So all we can do is we're going to wait for some clarity, whether a double bottom or inverse head and shoulder, whatever formation we can get here, or to something that will prove to us that price is willing to go to the upside. We're very much interested in taking the buys to the upside for S&P 500. This can only be violated if price breaks below and gives us a retest and takes us to the downside. We have here US 2000, and US 2000 currently is also reacting from a very strong area of interest. So what we are going to do is we're going to wait for price to shift this 4-hour structure or daily structure, give us a possible right shoulder or higher low, then we take our buy to the upside. So this, it can possibly give us a harmonic pattern formation, so we have to allow it to develop more for us to decide which particular harmonic pattern is actually going to develop within the zone. So we take our buys to the upside. So we are very bullish on US 2000 as well. This can only be bearish or can be violated if price violates the zone and take us to the downside. So we are very bullish on US 2000 or the Russell 2000. Finally, we have BTC. So from last week, we anticipated that price was going to drop to 100,000 to 93,000 zone. Price actually dropped to that zone and it's giving us some reactions at the 100,000 region. So if we drop down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that price is giving us a possible double bottom formation within the zone that we're anticipating price to react from. So this is a possible double top, and looking at the time frame, I'm expecting that price might do these two things, or anticipating that price can just break this double top, break the neckline, come for a retest, take us to this zone, and then either we break through the zone above and continue the buy to the upside, or we might just retest that zone and come back for a deeper pullback and give us some strong confirmations like reversal pattern, like something very strong to prove that price is really ready to take us to the upside. So let's be on the lookout for that. This zone is a very, very strong zone that we are looking out for to see price react from for the coming week or the weeks ahead of us. So thank you so much for sticking through to the end of this video. I really appreciate you for taking our time to be here. I encourage you to apply proper risk management to your trades, trade safe and sound. I wish you a very fruitful and a very profitable week ahead, and I'll encourage you to share this video to your fellow traders. Drop your likes, drop your comments, and I'll catch you on another episode. Take care and have a wonderful week ahead. Bye bye.